Marshall Lake is the 1988 Cincinnati Regatta, featuring the nation's top rowers competing in the National Collegiate Championship, World and Olympic qualifiers.
At the start line, the 6 collegiate crews, the 8s. These are the glamour boats of collegiate rowing in lane 1. That's the lane nearest our cameras, Northeastern. Yale is in 2. UCLA from the Pac-10 in 3. Brown in 4. Harvard the favorite in 5. And the University of Wisconsin in 6. That's the far lane. Now, these teams qualified by winning the Eastern Sprints. That was Harvard. The Pac-10 Championship, UCLA. The IRA Regatta, that was Northeastern. The Harvard-Yale race was Harvard and 3 at-large boats. In lane 1 is Northeastern. On the bow of their boat is the name Charlie. Kathy, each team needs some inspiration, and that name Charlie carries a lot for the Northeastern team.
Yeah, Charlie Smith was their boatman, and he was killed last week in a van accident when the lower boats were traveling to the IRA regattas, and they dedicated that race, which they won, to him. The boatman is a pretty important part of the team, and it was a pretty upsetting time for everybody involved there.
But the crew decided to row on with Charlie on the side of their boat.
And they rowed to victory. It was very exciting. Okay, we've got the liner is on the shore lining up all the bow balls. You can see the bow numbers, and the bow balls right in front of them. They have to line all 6 boats up even so that when they cross the finish line, they've rowed the exact 2,000 meters, all 6 boats, no one getting an advantage right from the start.
Upper right is the starter. We're within 10 seconds of the start of the Intercollegiate Rowing Championships. It's 2,000 meters. They must realign to make sure that, as Kathy said, no boat has even an inch advantage. At the other end of 2,000 meters, and they're off.
They're off. It's a clean race.
In the first 500 meters of this race, they'll try to pull 40 to 45 strokes per minute. That's the start. Then they'll try to settle into 36 to 38 strokes from 500 to 1,500. And then from 1,500 to 2,000, try to get it back to 40 strokes a minute.
You'd expect the early leaders should be Northeastern and UCLA. They're both pretty fast starters, and it looks like Northeastern is, from this angle, has the lead.
One of the things we'll constantly have difficulty with is judging exactly who is in the lead. Kathy, from the conversation I've had with the rowers out here, both singles, men and women, whatever you want to talk to, they all admit that they're crazy. And I said, why? And they said, well, basically because it takes 12 to 1,300 hours worth of work for 6 minutes competition. What possesses these people to get out here and go through this torture?
Well, it just, when you do it right, it is just the ultimate feeling. It's just totally unity, especially in the 8s. You go beyond yourself. You push yourself harder than you really thought you ever could. And it's just the sensation of going that fast is enough of an impetus to keep everybody going.
You see 8 rowers, you see 1 sitter. He is the coxswain. And contrary to popular belief, he does not yell stroke. He encourages. He tries to cajole. You see him pointing. He's trying to make all 8 rowers do their absolute level best. The stroke is the man in the boat that everyone rows from. He basically gives them instruction, but he does with deeds rather than words. Am I correct?
The stroke sets the pace, just physically. Everyone has to follow. When you're rowing, the thing you're trying to do is to have everybody put the blade in at exactly the same time. Everyone take the blade out exactly the same time. Everyone drive their legs together. It's total unity that you're looking for. You want to see all 8 backs swing together. That's what picks the boat up out of the water.
The stroke is the man closest to the coxswain. Following all the competitors in our chase boat is Tom Brenneman. Tom?
Yeah, Bob, you mentioned the fact that Northeastern is known as a team that gets off to a quick start, and that is exactly what they did. UCLA the same. Now, the competitors, the teams in lanes 4, 5, and 6, typically row from behind. That is their team pattern. Harvard is in that group. Brown and Harvard both have come on rather quickly here as we pass the 500, 1,000 meter mark. It should be a good race. There are 4 boats, 5 boats that are very close together. But Brown looks very strong, as does Harvard at this point from our vantage point.
Thank you, Tom Brenneman. Kathy, you mentioned in our setup of the broadcast today that when the wind is behind the boats, you tend to see them all together. Is this as you expected this race would go?
Yeah, I would think so. The field hasn't opened up at all. This 8th race is going to be pretty tight. We should see the boats that aren't the fast starters starting to come through. So we'll see whether the Northeastern got enough lead and what's going on.
It looks like we have lanes 5 and 6, which are Harvard and the University of Wisconsin, almost bow ball to bow ball, and they're now out in the chop. The first half of, or the first part of this race course is very, very well protected. But once out in the middle of Lake Harsha, is there anything that they really have to deal with out here, Kathy?
It's going to be a little rougher. It's a little bit harder to set the boat in the tailwind. They've really got to keep concentrating while they're rowing. They're 100%. It's got to be natural at this point. They got to just lean on it and pull the boat through the water as quickly as they can.
We documented earlier that rowing is very physical. It's an awful lot of power. There certainly is a great deal of finesse too, in that each one of those oars must be turned. The stroke involves 4 different aspects: the catch, the drive, the feather, and the recovery. And getting 8 guys to do that all at the same time makes you successful.
Yeah, well, it looks like Harvard has taken the lead. It looks like they have a pretty strong
Pretty strong
finish.
lead?
They really, it looks like they have almost a length on the next group round right next to them.
Is that unusual in a 2,000-meter intercollegiate event to have
This is a big margin, but not that much. Well, you have to watch out for Brown to come back now. Last year they rode stroke for stroke the last 500, the whole race almost, but the last 500 meters, this lead changed. They were just side by side, but it looks like Harvard this year has a full length, and it's not going to come down to photo finish.
The winning margin for Harvard last year at the 2,000 meters was a grand total of 2 feet, 2 seconds. And you're right, Brown and Harvard.
UCLA is the 3rd place, is coming up pretty strong. Oh no, it's Yale. Never mind. Yale might pass Brown. This is pretty exciting for a second, but I think Harvard has. Oh.
There's about 75 meters left in this race after 2,000.
Northeastern is charging too. It's going to be quite a finish for second, but I think Harvard has the 1st place.
You can hear the folks on the beach at Lake Harsha rooting on their favorite crew.
Whoa.
Harvard looks like it has about a half a boat lead. They're approaching the finish line.
Comes in second.
And Harvard is the winner. Northeastern second.
Brown third.
Brown's third. An all Ivy League finish.
No, Northeastern is not an Ivy League.
Excuse me. I apologize to all those people in the Ivy League. Northeastern is in Boston. Exhaustion on their faces, but the Harvard crew is excited. They are the National Intercollegiate Rowing Champion of 1988. They win the Hershey Cup, qualify for the Henley Regatta. Next, the World Championship qualifying events in the Cincinnati Regatta.